So welcome to lesson 8. This is a great privilege that we have come to the end. We have come to the very last lesson in module 2, building our roots and our foundations in Stata. So this lesson, we are going to look at everything we have learned in 1 to 7 in practical terms, trying to combine the knowledge together as we go. So we're going to take some sample data, we're going to enter it in, and we're going to go through connecting all the all the um all the concepts and lessons we have learned throughout this module. So please, if you have any questions, ask. If you have any ideas, if you feel there is something we needed to add, please let us know. The whole idea is to get your feedback and your engagement. We want to know if this is useful to you and what we can do to improve it. Thank you so much for your time, and I will see you in the practical session. Bye. Hi there, welcome to the practical session for Module 8, which is an entire lesson itself. We're just trying to tie up everything, add a few more layers since you're already getting comfortable with the interface. So we had mentioned, I'm just going to go through all the broad concepts we have mentioned in this entire module, getting to familiarize ourselves with Stata. So I'll really choose to start with the interface, even though we start with basic concepts and then tie everything together. So we had the history, and that is, you see, you can expand that if you hover your mouse around and you get a black dividing cursor, then you can move them around. The same thing with the command window. You can move it up and down like this. It's just a plain canvas we want to start with. So I'm taking so much time to explain history, results, command, variables, and properties. Every time you start Stata, you start from this. Now, this may be slightly different from some of the ones you find with your colleagues because they have the ability to customize, but that's not our focus here. You could right click and select your preferences, change colors, change font, and all that stuff. So if you're up to that, if you want to really experiment. So that's the main editor. Now we have said that commands can be issued from the menu, from the toolbar, or from the command window. If you pay attention on this channel, you will soon come and make sure you subscribe, because we share a video where we explain why it's maybe much more effective and efficient if you use the command window and the do files editor to do your work, especially if your work is enormous and you have so much to do. So watch out for that video. It's coming up very soon. When you're subscribed and you hit the notification bell, you'll get that. Okay, so basically we had explained this editor. I'm just adding the additional concept of the fact that you can expand the views to your taste, customize the views to your taste. And so I'm going to use a command and just generate impute data. Now we've mentioned also that you can impute data using sysuse or use. Sysuse refers to data that comes with the Stata installation. Now I use that a lot because you may not have much data to play around with, and please go around the directory, go back the videos. There are some videos I had some lessons back where we referred to the directory, so just check about that. Go back to the video that we talked about the 6 command for inputs, and you'll find that there is that. So I don't want to distract us here. So I'm going to use sysuse sensors. I've been using auto for a while. It's just one of the data sets that you find. Clear being an option. Now clear can be a standalone command, so it just clears of anything. It's just good practice that you add clear, whether you use the use statement or the sysuse statement. So I enter, and I've told you my data, the signs that there's data loaded is that you find variables listed here, and then you find information also listed here. The number of variables are 13, the number of observations are 50 for the 50 states in the United States of America. So we have all that information. Now, as you do things, for example, I want to browse, and I'm going to minimize that again. As I do everything, the history window takes note of all my interactions, even interactions that I do even in the editor. So it just keeps a record. This also can be saved. If you select it, you can right click and send to a do file editor. So that can happen. You can also do the selector. What it means is that run those two codes again. So if I do selected, it goes back, opens sysuse. So it just duplicated 23 and 24 again, run it again. So there are quite a number of things, but I want to just keep it as simple as possible. History is being done here, and by right clicking within the commands here, you can do a lot. You can send selected to a do file editor. So I've sent to a do file editor here. As you save your work, when you're doing work manually, which is usually the best practice, when you start, you're just investigating stuff, you do it manually, but you're able to send it to the do file editor and keep it saved. Okay, so that's that with the main window. Now we've also explained that we have the data editor. Looks like a spreadsheet. That's basically the difference between that previous main windows and these windows. It looks like a spreadsheet. And then we had mentioned the color codes now. So I'm sure you know that when you see blue, it's a categorical variable. That's the most controversial. It has letters in front. You can see West here, but if you go back here, you see 4. So that is what it does. Please, if you have questions, put it in the comments. I will be happy to respond. So I try to do that at least once every 48 hours. Please bear with me because of my schedule. But if you have questions, just put it there in the comments. Okay, so that's the editor for you. We have also mentioned that you can edit. That is actually edit like cells in Excel, or you can browse. We're in browse mode now, so we cannot edit anything. We cannot edit anything. That's why you hear that sound. Okay, so that's basically it. All the information you need as you go from variable to variable, you get it here. Also with the editor too. I mean on the spreadsheet, I clicked on the state column. I get the information here, the label, the type, the format. I click on population, I get the format, the type. It's a long variable. I click on region, and in region I get the type, the value label, because anything that is a categorical variable has a value label. Okay, so that's basically it here. You find all that information here. We have also mentioned that if you wanted to see the do file editor, you just come back here and control 9. So it's already there. There's a do file editor here. So you are able to type in steps that you want to take line by line. Now this is massive. There's so many things you can do, so we just put them step by step and you're able to learn as you go. We just minimize it. So we had mentioned the input commands, we've mentioned options, we've mentioned case sensitivity. I will dwell on that a bit here. So when you use a command like sysuse, I cannot use capital letters. Now I'm using sysuse in capital letters. That's uppercase. I say sysuse auto, comma clear. It says it cannot recognize. You have an error. You have violated the first principles we had shared, one of the first 8 principles. But if I say sysuse all in small cases, auto, comma clear, no problem. Sorry, I did not spell auto right, so it says it's all right spelled. So I'll just tap on this and then edit. So sometimes your history may be bloody. That is very fine for a beginner. It helps you to see how you violate principles. We had also mentioned that when you see errors, it just means you violated a principle. And the more you understand the principles, the less you will violate it. I typed the wrong file, so it cannot find that file. That's the problem. So at the in module 10, so like I said, subscribe, share. In module 10, we will spend some time looking at those errors really critically. So you'll see them in your journey, and don't be scared. We had also spent time with logic. So much logic. So much logic. So I will do a little bit on that. Now, if I browse, I just want to look at what I have here. So I am looking for all domestic cars that that have a displacement between 100 to 120. So I will say browse E. Now you know why I use browse now and abbreviate. I don't spell browse fully. I told you in the basic concepts we can abbreviate. Like I said, the purpose of this particular lesson is just to use these things as I move along. So I'm abbreviating basically. So I could come here, since I want to talk about displacement, and say if displacement, I'll use a function which I have not taught you. It says in range displacement 100, 120. You are going to learn this later. Now all I'm just saying is I want you to show me all displacements that are between 100 and 120 and domestic. So let's go on to domestic here. Go back to browse. Domestic has the value of 0. Foreign is 0. So domestic is 0. I told you when you're dealing with categorical variables, it's a bit critical. So since this is already on your laptop, if you have installed Stata, you should be able to do exactly what I'm doing. So you can pause the video and stop, copy what I'm doing if you need to. So double equals to 0. So all I've said is I want foreign cars that are domestic cars are, when foreign equals to 0, let's go back quickly. The name of the variable here is foreign, and when foreign is equal to domestic, that means it is 0. But there's foreign if you go, I think, to the bottom of the list. So there's foreign. When foreign is 1, then that is the foreign car. So I'm referring to domestic cars that have a displacement between 100 and 120. And when I tab, what it does, it brings out 2 vehicles, only 2 vehicles. You can see the observation here. 2 out of 74 meet that criteria. Now you are using the AND statement. Now I'm going to use the OR statement, which I told you has usually a wider scope of options, usually. So all I have done is I have copied the same thing, only I have edited now the symbol from the ampersand to the slash, the vertical slash. Okay, so when I press enter now, I have 56, because if you are domestic, you qualify. If you are between 0 and 120, you qualify. Now the OR always gets people confused. It just means one of those conditions need to be met. Now we can see the displacements above 120 and they are being selected, and I'm sure you'll find some foreigns, and the only reason why you find foreign is because these foreigns are between 100 and 120. So when either of the conditions are met, they are selected, and of course you will find those who belong to domestic, and so all statement always takes more. You understand? So basically that's how these things work. The more we engage you, the more we give you practice questions, the better. So let me know in the comments if you require practice questions, and I can now send them to you. If you want more practice questions and you have more time to practice, let me know in the comments, and I will reach out to you and send you a link. Okay, so those are the basic things we want to mention again. Remember, we mentioned scenarios. So just a simple word document that talks about the problem. you would have an input file, and then you are required to produce a do file to submit this. So if there was a do file that says show displacements of foreign and blah blah blah, all these now can be selected here. You can copy them and go to the do file editor and then paste them. Of course, this is like logic in isolation. You need to first type in the sysuse. You need to refer to a file, auto, comma clear. So when I select these two lines, I'm able to run. I got the first two. When I select the 3 lines, I got this. And then you create your change directory. Like every work we give you, create a change directory for now. And then let me just call it xxx, whatever your directory is. I've told you you can just come here and copy. Let's say I want to capture that under huge data sets. If you're in Windows, you select it, you copy, and you can come back here depending on the Windows you're using and paste. Most important is that, Control Z, is that you paste within the inverted commas, because the directory is a string variable, and that's why it's red. And I can now save auto comma replace. Now when I save auto comma replace, it will come back to these huge data set folders, which I'm going to delete. I just wanted to show you how that works. So once I run, so I go back to the folder huge data sets. There it is. So you have all the information that you require at any point in time right in the folder, because you specified that I want to save what I just did now there. So every work you do, especially when you go to module 3, remember to use your cd command, and then we'll take it, we'll make it a bit more complex as we move along. I've mentioned those types. I've mentioned splitting windows. So if you're in Windows, you just drag to the left, and then you can pick the next one. This is the do file. So you can decide that you want your data editor on one side and then your main window on the other side. Okay, so basically I guess we are gone through. Please engage with more of the content. I like my own my own view to be here, so let me just take it back here. So I would not, move without explaining a very powerful command, and that is what we call help. So I use that a lot. I say, if you want to know what help does, you say help. So it's not a duplication. It's just trying to explain what the help does. So there is help in Stata, and it helps us to understand how commands work. So you have what we call the syntax for the help, we have the description, and of course we have options, for help too. We mentioned options for commands. So you have various options, and then you have the viewer name, but I'm just going to keep it very simple. So let's look at some of the commands we have used. So we use the word help use. If you want to know more about any command, you use the word help use. So it tells you how it is used. That's what's the syntax. You have the menu, you have the description, and you have the options here. So you see there's option for clear. Every time we use comma clear, and we have use comma no label. Wonderful. We'll explain that too in detail. So these are things that you need to know. I tell people, especially those who have known Stata all their life, that many people are leaving not money on the table, options on the table. Powerful options that can help you achieve your goals so fast. So I would really implore you to try and check these things out. You can literally, trace, even use the use command to open websites. That's data on the internet. But the most important thing, like I mentioned, you must be connected. So these are things that you need to know about. please. So try and go through all the help. So there's help for use, there's help for clear, there's help for help, like we have seen. So help, clear, all this information tells you, and why I don't really say you should spend so much time here. Sometimes some things are advanced, but I need you to know that it exists, and then you create time for it. So thank you so much for listening in. Don't forget to save. Don't forget what we talked about errors. Don't forget what we said about simple to complex, folder locations, splitting windows, abbreviation, conditional selections, the equality sign. I'll just repeat that again. You see that when I picked foreign, I used the double equals to sign because there was an if statement. So please keep practicing. Take out CCUs for auto and let me know what your experiences have been. Any challenges, let me know, and then we can keep interacting here. So I'll see you in the next video. Take care and God bless.